Welcome back, listeners. Today, we're going to tackle a film that I think is really stuck with a lot of people, and that's Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men.
Yeah, it's a powerful film.
So we're going to try and unpack some of the big ideas at play here, like how this film uses infertility, the whole premise of global infertility, to talk about larger issues like societal stagnation and what it means to even have hope when everything seems so bleak.
Hmm,
And of course, we can't forget about that ending, right? That ship named Tomorrow.
very symbolic.
So are you ready to dive into this one?
Absolutely. Children of Men really gets under your skin.
It does, and I think one of the first things that grabs you is how Cuarón takes this sci-fi concept, this whole infertility crisis, and turns it into a reflection of very real anxieties we have about the future. Anxieties about the environment, about politics, about losing our humanity.
Yeah, and I think it's really clever how he uses that infertility as a metaphor.
Right, it's not just about babies, is it? It's about something much deeper.
It's like the whole world is infertile, like it's lost its ability to create, to imagine, to move forward.
Yeah, think about all the decaying buildings, the abandoned spaces, that pervasive sense of hopelessness.
Exactly. It's like humanity has hit a dead end.
It's like a spiritual stagnation almost.
Mm.
And that's reflected in the characters too, right? Especially Theo, our protagonist.
He's a perfect
It
example.
starts off so disillusioned, so apathetic, like he's given up on any chance of things getting better.
Well, he was an activist once, right?
Right, but now he's just going through the motions, just like everyone else in this world.
Until Key comes along.
And Key, of course, is the young refugee who becomes pregnant, breaking that 18-year curse of infertility.
She's like a miracle almost.
She is, and her pregnancy, it's not just a plot device. It's a catalyst for change, a spark of hope in this desolate world.
And the film doesn't shy away from the religious symbolism either, does it?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
You've got these clear parallels to the Virgin Mary and the Nativity story.
It's subtle though, isn't it?
It is. It's woven into the narrative in a way that makes you think without hitting you over the head with it.
It's not preachy at all.
It lets you interpret it through your own lens of belief.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this film.
And it's so interesting how Key's pregnancy affects Theo, how it transforms him.
He goes from being this cynical bureaucrat to someone who's willing to risk everything to protect her and this unborn child.
He finds a purpose, a renewed sense of hope.
Yeah, and that's what the film is saying about hope, isn't it? That it's not just a passive feeling, it's a call to action.
It's about fighting for something bigger than yourself, even when everything seems hopeless.
And the way Cuarón portrays that fight, those moments of violence juxtaposed with these incredibly tender scenes, it's so powerful.
Oh my gosh, that scene where Key gives birth amidst a raging battle,
It's breathtaking, isn't it?
it's chaotic and terrifying, and yet there's this overwhelming sense of awe and beauty at the same time.
It's like life finding a way, even in the midst of all that destruction.
And it makes you think about the resilience of the human spirit, even in the darkest of times.
Right, and that's where the film's exploration of memory comes in, I think.
And
It's not just about the past, it's about how memory shapes who we are and what we fight for.
And the film is filled with images of the
Yeah.
past, right?
Yeah.
All those crumbling buildings, those abandoned spaces, those glimpses of what was.
It's like the past is haunting this world, reminding them of what they've lost.
It's like a warning, right?
Mhm.
And Theo, he's clearly haunted by his own personal memories, too.
Yeah, the loss of his son, that really weighs on him.
It shapes his choices, his actions. It's what drives him to protect Key and this unborn child.
He sees them as a chance to redeem the past, to build a better future.
So memory becomes both a source of pain and a catalyst for hope, in a way.
Exactly. And that tension between the past and the future, that's what leads us to that ambiguous ending with the ship named Tomorrow.
Oh, that ending. So much to unpack there.
Yeah, is it a symbol of hope or just another illusion?
Cuarón leaves us hanging, doesn't he?
He does. He wants us to debate, to wrestle with those big questions about hope in the future.
And that's what makes Children of Men such a powerful film. It sticks with you. It makes you think. It makes you question.
It's a film that demands to be discussed, to be debated.
And that's what we're here for. So let's dive into that ending and all its complexities after a quick break.
I think that ending is really what makes Children of Men such a great example of science fiction. It's not just trying to entertain you, it's making you think.
It's thought-provoking.
Yeah, it's prompting you to ask big questions about where we're headed as a society.
And it's not just the themes or the ending, right?
Yeah.
Cuarón's direction is just masterful, especially the way he uses those long, continuous shots.
Oh, yeah, those long takes are incredible.
Like that one during the battle scene. It's just mind-blowing how he keeps the camera rolling, putting us right there in the middle of the chaos.
It's so immersive.
You feel every bump, every explosion, every desperate gasp for air, like you're right there with them.
And I think that's what makes that birth scene so powerful, you know? You have this brutal, chaotic battle raging around Key, and yet there's this undeniable beauty and hope emanating from that moment of new life.
That contrast is so striking, so deliberate.
Exactly. Cuarón is constantly reminding us that even in the darkest of times, humanity can still find moments of grace, connection, and even joy.
Like that scene where Theo and Key visit Jasper, Theo's old friend who lives in this idyllic countryside hideaway.
Oh yeah, that's a great scene.
It's like a breath of fresh air, literally compared to those decaying, militarized cities.
It's like a reminder that art and beauty can still exist even when everything else is falling apart.
And it's not just the visual contrasts that are interesting, right? Cuarón also weaves in these subtle references to real-world events and anxieties, like the way he portrays refugees.
Oh, absolutely. The refugee camps, the dehumanizing language, it's all very relevant to what's happening in our world today.
It makes you think about how we treat those who are different from us, how easily we can fall into fear and prejudice.
It's a warning, for sure.
The way they use the term fugees in the film, it's so jarring, so dehumanizing.
It's like they're not even people anymore, just a problem to be dealt with.
And it makes you question our own treatment of refugees and marginalized communities. Are we making the same mistakes?
That's what good science fiction does. It makes you look at your own world in a new light.
It challenges your assumptions, makes you confront uncomfortable truths.
And Children of Men does that brilliantly. It doesn't shy away from the darkness, but it also shows us that there's still hope. There's still resistance.
There's still that spark of the human spirit that refuses to be extinguished.
Exactly. And it doesn't tell us what that hope should look like or what form that resistance should take. It leaves that up to us.
It invites us to debate, to imagine, to create our own solutions.
And that's why I think it's such a powerful and enduring film. It's not just a story, it's a conversation starter.
It's a film that stays with you long after you've seen it, prompting you to ask those big questions about humanity, about hope, about the choices we make.
And speaking of choices, we've got to talk about that ending again. That ship named Tomorrow sailing into the mist.
Oh yeah, that ending. What do you think? Is it a beacon of hope or a false promise?
I don't know. Cuarón leaves it so open-ended. It's brilliant and frustrating at the same time.
It's like he's saying, here's a world on the brink of collapse. Here's a glimmer of possibility. Now what are you going to do with it?
It's a challenge, right? To decide what we believe in, what we're willing to fight for.
So is tomorrow a symbol of hope or despair? What does that ambiguous ending say about our own hopes and fears for the future?
I think it depends on who you ask. Everyone's going to have a different interpretation.
And that's what makes it so interesting, so ripe for debate.
It's not about finding the right answer. It's about asking the right questions.
It's about engaging with the film, with each other, and with the big ideas that it raises.
And that's what we love about science fiction. It has the power to hold up a mirror to our own reality and make us think critically about the world we're creating.
It's not just about escapism. It's about engagement, about confronting the challenges of our time.
And Children of Men is a perfect example of that. It's a film that challenges us to think about infertility, hope, memory, and the power of choice.
It's a film that makes you feel disturbed, inspired, hopeful, and despairing all at the same time.
It's a film that stays with you.
And we hope it sparked some interesting thoughts and debates for you too.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From infertility to hope, from memory to that ambiguous ending, we've really dived deep into Children of Men.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did this film make you think about? What resonated with you? What questions did it raise?
Leave a comment and join the debate. We'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations firing.
Yeah, it really gets you thinking, and I think what's so fascinating is how people interpret that ending so differently.
Oh, absolutely. Depending on your own outlook on life, you might see tomorrow as a symbol of hope, or you might see it as a cruel joke. It's like Cuarón is playing with our expectations. He's not giving us a clear-cut answer. He's making us confront our own anxieties about the future.
And I think that's what makes it so brilliant, right? It's not about finding the right interpretation. It's about engaging in that debate, in that uncertainty.
It's about wrestling with those big questions, just like the characters in the film are wrestling with their own choices and beliefs.
And it's interesting how that connects back to the theme of hope, right? Is hope something we just passively wait for, or is it something we actively create?
Yeah, that's a big question that the film keeps coming back to. And I think Children of Men ultimately argues that hope is a choice. It's an action. It's something we have to fight for.
Think about Theo. At the beginning, he's completely given up. He's resigned to the fate of the world. But then Key's pregnancy awakens something in him. It gives him a purpose, a reason to fight.
It's like he's reborn along with that possibility of a future, and he's willing to risk everything to protect that, to protect Key, to protect that unborn child.
And it's not just about protecting them physically, right? It's about protecting the hope they represent. The hope for a world where children can be born into something better, something more humane.
It's about creating a world worth living in, even if it seems impossible.
And that's the challenge that Children of Men throws at us, right? It shows us this bleak dystopian world, but it also reminds us that we have the power to choose hope, to choose action, to fight for a better future, even when the odds are stacked against us.
So yeah, Children of Men is a film that definitely stays with you. It makes you think, it makes you feel, it makes you question. And ultimately, I think it leaves you with a sense of, well, maybe not optimism, but a sense of possibility.
Yeah, a sense that even in the darkest of times, we still have the power to choose to make a difference, to create a better world. And that's a pretty powerful message.
It is, and it's a message that I think we all need to hear, especially in times like these. So if you haven't seen Children of Men, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a film that will stay with you long after the credits roll.
Absolutely. It's a must-see for any science fiction fan. And even if you're not a huge sci-fi fan, I think there's so much in this film that will resonate with you. It's about humanity. It's about hope. It's about the choices we make. And it's a film that I think we can all learn something from.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into Children of Men, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the film? What resonated with you? What questions did it raise? Leave a comment, and let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah, join the debate. We'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, keep exploring those thought-provoking worlds of science fiction, and as always, keep those imaginations firing.